Joe Hanson was joyfully awake by the creaking snap of the window frame. I won. Zero and static on the shortwave. Radio suddenly ripped apart, spitting out an electric charge alert. Emergency. Arctic vortex spiraling out of control. Montana now in extreme cold death zone. Over 6 feet of snowfall expected in next 72 hours. Temperatures plummeting to 零下76华氏度. Winds reaching category 12. All rescue routes severed. Power and communications completely down. Projected resident mortality rate over 50%. He violently threw back the down comforter. The instant his bare feet touched the floor, it felt like stepping onto ice. Even with the windows shut, the room temperature had plummeted to 32 F outside. Ice pellets and snow chunks peeled at the glass, cracks spreading visibly across the panes. 7-year-old Lily clutched her pillow, huddled at the edge of the bed, her voice trembling. Daddy, it's so cold. ... I smelled an apocalypse dawn, scrambling for the last bite amid chaos. Joe stuffed Lily into a sit-down sleeping bag, tossed his wife Mary a windproof jacket, grabbed his work pants, and dashed toward the garage. The Ford pickup S engine coughed 5 times before starting. The ice crust on the windshield was thick as glass. He could only scrape a crack with a utility knife. Staring at the blurred road ahead, Main Street had descended into hellish chaos. Outside Dell's hardware, 2 men flew over the last row of insulation. Dell stood guard at the warehouse entrance, with a shotgun. Spotting Joe's truck, he bellowed and waved. Joe, only 8 prop tanks left. 5 rows of insulation. Hurry up. Joe jumped out, snatched the propane tank, and tossed it into the truck bed. Dell shoved a shovel into his hands, hit the grocery store. Lucy said you know your way around. Get as much food as you can. If you relish, it'll be cleaned out. Joe's truck nearly collided with Aaron's SUV. Outside the grocery store, the glass doors lay shuttered, shelves toppled. A woman clutching canned goods wet, and the burly man pointed a shotgun at the freezer. This box of stacks is mine. Ignoring the chaos, Joe charged straight for the freezer section. He knew frozen meat was the most filling. Hard currency in the apocalypse. Frozen meat section. He grabbed 3 insulated coolers, stuffing them with 15 pounds of frozen bacon. Pre-sliced and put in get found. 20 pounds of marbled ribeye, bone-in for slow cooking. 10 pounds of pork ribs. 5 pounds of chicken breasts. Finally grabbing 3 packages of ground beef for meatballs. Lily's baby foot, his fingers went numb. Instantly in the 40F, cold as he sealed at the coolers. Canned goods shelf. He cleared the last 2 rows of canned goods. 12 cans of Boston baked beans, ready to eat. High carb. 8 cans of tuna in water, high protein. Great for salads. 6 cans of tomato sauce, perfect for pasta or stews. 4 cans of clam chowder, ready to heat and save fuel. 3 cans of baked beans, Lily's favorite, and even grabbed the bottom to cans of dog food, just in case the supplies ran low. Dry goods section. He grabbed 520-pound bags of high gluten flour for baking bread and pastries. 3 10-pound bags of granulated sugar for energy and curing meat. 2 cans of dry yeast. Lucy slipped him, saying you can make your own dough. 1 stuff. 4 boxes of instant oatmeal. Just add hot water for breakfast. Saves time. 15-pound bag of rice. Makes filling porridge. Mary knows how to cook it. Emergency rations. He grabbed 4 boxes of compressed biscuits, 12 per box, each replacing a meal. 20 bars of dark chocolate. 85% cocoa. High energy, Lily could snack on them. 10 energy bars, high protein, to stash in his pockets when out. 3 boxes of instant coffee to stay alert, essential for winter. 2 bags of sports drink powder to replenish electrolytes and prevent dehydration. Long-lasting vegetables. Finally, he found a box of potatoes peeking out from the back door. 20 pounds. Durable, good for baking or boiling. A basket of onions, 10 pounds. Flavorful in stews, then prevents spoilage. And a bag of carrots, 5 pounds. Cut into small pieces and frozen for porridge. Lucy's eyes welled up as she said, "Take them, Joe. My daughter lives in the city. I don't need this much." Joe tossed the last sack of potatoes into the truck bed, turning. He saw Mary holding Lily at the doorway. Lily clutched a packet of fruit gummies. Her favorite treat. Mary said, "Let the child have Emery." Joe shared. Tightened, he slipped Gomez into Lily's sleeping bag, started the pickup and raced home by now. The radio reported temperatures have plummeted to 60 F. 2 life or death. Reinforcement of the log cabin. Gambling with fate in -85 degrees Fahrenheit winds. By the time he reached home, the living room window had shattered as he went swept in, carrying freezing pellets. The blankets on the sofa had hardened like boards. Zhe shoved Lily and Mary into the basement, the only windowless room, then grabbed his tools and rushed to seal the windows. 8085F. His breath froze instantly into ice crystals within seconds. His exposed fingers went numb. Windows. 3 layers to seal the death tunnel. First layer, plastic sheeting plus sealant. Zhou first draped plastic sheeting over the window frame. The plastic fluttered like paper in the wind, forcing him to hold it down with one hand, while nailing it in place with the other. He then squeezed various resistant sealant along the edges of the plastic. The cold made the sealant harden quickly, so he had to heat the tool with a lighter to squeeze. Add even a little. When the sealant dripped onto his hands, it instantly froze into a hard shell. Second layer, reinforced plywood. He cut 3-centimeter thick plywood panels 12 inches larger than the window frames when drilling holes along the edges with an electric drill. The bit froze and slipped, nearly drilling into his hand several times. Each board required 10 expansion bolts. Crouching by the window in the biting wind, he exhaled warm breath and rubbed his hands. Between each twist, his knuckles turned white, and ice crystals clung to the bolts. Third layer, snow wall buffer. He enlisted Mary Shaw to build a 1.5-foot-high snow wall outside the window. The snow, hard as granite at -85 F, was packed down with an entrenching tool. The wall pressed tightly against the plywood, blocking some of the wind. After finishing the wall, Zhou pulled off his gloves to find snow frozen solid between his fingers. His fingernails had turned purple, and the pain was excruciating. Chimney. A life-saving renovation in a race against death. The fireplace was their only source of heat. If the chimney got blocked, the whole family would be poisoned. Zhou held up a ladder and climbed onto the roof, nearly slipping off when his foot gave way. The snow on the roof had frozen solid. He had to use a shovel to chip out slabs, moving inch by inch toward the chimney, clearing the ice blockage. A 3-inch thick layer of ice had formed inside the chimney. Zhou thrust an iron rod into the opening, and chunks of ice clattered down. Striking his head, he had to stick his head out periodically to breathe. Otherwise, the 85 fire inside the chimney would make him cough. The pH like we cough at up landed on the snow and instantly froze into small ice cubes. Installing the cap, he secured the metal cap atop the chimney with screws, but rattled violently in the wind. He bound it to the chimney with wire, which froze stiff as needles. Cutting his palms, drops of blood fell onto the snow, quickly turning into dark red ice beads. The basement, the final survival fortress. The basement became the family's refuge. Zhou installed 2 layers of thick canvas over the basement door, with insulation sandwiched between them. He nailed the canvas to the door frame and propped the door from the inside with wooden poles. The wind outside could uproot trees. This door had to hold. He organized all food supplies. Frozen meat went into 2 insulated boxes, connected to Vincent's propane tank run 2 hours daily to maintain 10. Fan prevent thawing. Canned goods hardtack and chocolate were placed on dry wood and shelves, away from the walls, to prevent freezing damage. Flour, sugar and resin sealed buckets lined with wool. Blankets at the bottom, to prevent moisture and freezing. Store potatoes, onions, and carrots in wood, and crates in the basement corner, lined with a layer of hay, for ventilation to interrupt. Finally, he placed a mini propane stove in the basement corner. This is our last line of defense, he said. By now, the temperature outside had plummeted to 85 F, and the trees surrounding the cabin began cracking like the footsteps of death. 3. Survival in the ice prison. Weathering each frigid night on stockpiled supplies after dark. The power failed completely. The emergency lights cast a faint glow in the basement. Mary lit the mini fireplace, its flames dancing. Lily clutched a bar of dark chocolate, nibbling it slowly, her eyes filled with fear. Zhou felt the frozen meat in the insulated box, knowing full well these stockpiled supplies will family some way hope for survival. 1. Food rationing. Eating according to priority of life. Breakfast 7点到8点. Lily drank half a cup of hot milk, saved from the last carton of room temperature milk. 加一 oatmeal cookie, baked with flour and sugar. Joe and Mary each had one hard-tack biscuit, plus half a cup of hot coffee instant, brewed with melted snow. Lunch 12点到13点. Boil 1 can of Boston baked beans, 1 slice of bacon, taken from the insulated box and cooked using the fireplace residual heat, shared among 3, with Lily getting an extra half slice of bacon. Dinner 7:00下午8点. A splurge, still half a pound of ground beef, for meatballs, plus boil 1 potato diced, or heat 1 can of clam chowder plus 1 slice of bread, baked with flour. Mary would give all the meatballs to Lily, drinking only the soup herself. Once Lily asked Daddy, "Will we ever get strawberries again?" Joe shared it. He dug out the last packet of fruit gummies from the stockpile and handed it to her. When the snow melts, Daddy will take you strawberry picking. The gummies had hardened like stone at 85. I've Lily held them in her hands for ages, letting them thaw before taking tiny bites. To fuel and water, the lifeline tied to the stockpile. Fuel management. The mini fireplace burned only 3 hours daily, 1 hour in the morning, 2 hours at night for every tick. The propane tank gauge dropped. Joe recorded it in his notebook. 8 tanks, carefully rationed to last 40 days. Oak logs for the fireplace, split 3 months in advance, were limited to 3 pieces daily. Joe chopped them into smaller chunks to make the fire burn longer. Water. After drinking reserves ran out, Joe risked life daily at noon to push open a door. Crack and scored snow and 85 after 6 for sea wines. He had just 10 seconds to fill a bucket beforehand. Frost stiff. The melted snow was first filtered through coffee filters to remove ice shards, then boiled in a fireplace. After cooling, it was stored in sealed bottles. Each person was rationed 1 cup, about 200 milliliters per day, with Lily allowed an extra half cup. 3. Neighbors play. A glimmer of humanity in the horror. On the 15th day of the snowbound ordeal, Sarah knocked at the door holding her infant. The baby had stopped crying, and Sarah's face was purple from the cold. Joe, Tom went to find help and has a tea. Return ... The child is starving. Please, give us something to eat. Joe stared at the basement stockpile, clenched his jaw, and handed over 1 jar of baby food, left over from Lily's stash, 1 compressed biscuit, and half a cup of boiled snow melt. As Sarah fed the baby, her tears fell onto the infant's face, and instantly froze into ice. Joe said, "Come get some potatoes tomorrow. Make porridge." For the child, he knew that no matter how ample his stockpile, he couldn't stand by and watch his neighbors starve. 4. Hope thing. Surviving on stockpiles until spring. On the 45th day of the snowbound ordeal, Joe froze when he pushed open the basement door. That morning, the wind had stopped. He pried open a crack in the plywood. Sunlight streaked at his eyes, blinding him. Brown earth peeked out on distant hillsides. A faint voice crackled over the radio. Extreme cold has ended. Temperatures rising to 14 degrees Fahrenheit. Rescue teams have entered Montana. He rushed back into the basement, hugging Mary and Lily as tears streamed down his face. The insulated box still held 5 pounds of frozen meat, 8 cans of preserved food, and half a box of compressed biscuits, enough to sustain them until help arrived. Lily still clutched the unfinished bar of dark chocolate. Smiling, she asked, "Daddy, are the strawberries almost ripe?" Days later, the roar of a rescue helicopter echoed through the air. Joe stood in the snow holding Lily as Lizzie descended from the chopper. She, gone to town searching for her daughter, and both father and child had survived. Dale arrived missing an arm, yet holding up a packet of yeast. "Joe," he exclaimed, "I knew you'd make it with these supplies." In May, Montana's temperatures rose to 40 F, and the snow in the yard began to melt. Joe planted the remaining potatoes in the soil, while Lily crouched beside him, clutching the last fruit gummy in her hand. "Daddy, when the potatoes grow, we can roast them." Joe nodded, glancing toward the basement. Stockpile those canned goods, cookies, and chocolate that had not only saved their lives, but kept hope alive in the apocalypse. He knew this bitter cold had taken much, but it also assured him stockpiling wasn't stinginess. It was responsibility to his family. What truly kept them alive, beyond the crates of food, was their mutual protection and the hope they could never be frozen out.